There's a special kind of pride that you feel deep down inside, a strength that seems to thrive in Lima, Allen County.
The American way of life, to get in gear and do what's right.
An unbreakable forthright link called Real American Strength. Lima, Allen County, Real American Strength.
Keeping you up to date with what's happening in your community. Community Focus on GTV2. Thanks for joining us today on Community Focus. I'm Ann Decker, and I'm pleased to welcome to the studio today two gentlemen from the Lima Police Department. We have Investigator Jesse Harrod and Lieutenant Pat Coon. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
You both have recently gotten new jobs at the police department. You want to tell us about them?
Yes. I recently came up to the Investigative Services Division, which is the detectives, from first shift after the promotion of then Lieutenant to now Major Baker. So I took over his position, which is overseeing all of the detective division as well as the investigators for the juvenile division as well as PACE.
Okay. Is it a busy time for the detective division?
Since I've come up there, I've noticed how busy they truly are. And if there's a slow time, I've not yet seen it, because they are extremely busy. And even with the new cases they get, they're always looking at the older cases they have. So no matter what, they are extremely busy.
Well, I know we hear detective and we have the TV version in mind, but what do you guys detect? What cases come across your desk?
They get everything from the thefts, which starting at values of $1,000, which makes it a felony, to the felony 5 drug possessions, all the way up to aggravated murders. I mean, every gamut within there they deal with. The Juvenile Bureau deals more with all the crimes, not only that the juveniles are committing, but as well as committed against them, which takes up a huge amount of time for them.
How important is technology to what you're doing these days?
Technology plays a very large part of detecting some of the issues because of people using Facebook and Twitters and be able to track people and get the information back, as well as processing certain crime scenes and evidence, which allows us to be able to find and track down these people better that are perpetrating the crimes against the juveniles.
And does that help you close the cases better than you used to?
I don't have a reference to be able to use it because I have never been in this position before. So I honestly can't say if it's better, easier, if they close more. I don't know. I can't honestly say.
Okay.
I know they closed a lot before with the help of the community, which is always the biggest issue.
Mm-hmm.
The community's help is more of an issue than anything else we could ever use.
And you certainly have more ways of getting the information out to the public now than you ever did before.
Yes. With Sergeant Green's use of the Twitter and the Facebook, we've gotten a whole lot more information out, and the public has greatly responded back to us with that. And I don't have the numbers on how many they've solved, but I know that everything they've put out there on Facebook has received a positive response on getting the crime solved or getting the people identified.
Jesse, as a juvenile investigator, what comes across your desk?
Anything involving a juvenile, either as a victim or as a suspect. A lot of the cases that we investigate are usually the felonies. However, still with the misdemeanors, anything from traffic citations to either suspects or victims of any misdemeanor crimes, we still have to make sure that paperwork goes to the correct place, either between Children's Services or the prosecutor's office. Just making sure all the paperwork gets filed in the correct spot, and then any investigation that needs done, we pick that up on any felony case then.
How young are some of the perpetrators you deal with?
Like I said, I'm fairly new to the position. I've only been there for just over a month myself, but you know, a lot of the perpetrators can be 7, 8 years old.
You're kidding.
You know, in that age group, all the way up until 17 years old. So it runs a wide range of age groups.
They're keeping you pretty busy too?
Absolutely, absolutely. You don't realize how busy they are until you get put in that position. Working on several cases at one time, and then that doesn't stop the new cases from coming in by any means. So yeah, you stay very busy.
On a more positive note, this is Child Safety Seat Week, and I know you have some advice for folks about their child safety seats.
I do. The child safety seat law has changed somewhat recently, so just to make sure everybody is aware and everybody is clear, child has to be in a safety seat from 1 year old all the way up to 20 pounds rear facing in the vehicle. After that, from 20 pounds to 40 pounds or 4 years of age, they can be front facing in the child safety seat. From 4 years old up to either 8 years old or 4 feet 9 inches tall, they still have to be in a booster seat, which is somewhat new to the law as well.
If people do have questions, are you available to help, walk them through it, help them put the seat in, show them how it works?
Absolutely. I believe Sergeant Strickler with the police department does do that. But if they have any questions, we always have a desk officer at the police department, or like I said, they can even contact me, and I'll make sure that they get put in touch with the right person.
Okay. Anything else you want people to know?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming in today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Investigator
us.
Jesse Harrod and Lieutenant Pat Coon from the Lima Police Department. When we come back, we'll give you a Chamber of Commerce update right after this on GTV2.
What is your name, please?
I am Doug Behringer.
I am Doug Behringer.
I'm Doug Behringer.
Remember to tell the truth. Only one person was truthful about their name. For victims of identity theft, it is not a game. They find their credit and reputations ruined. Never give out your personal information to people or businesses you are not familiar with. By the way, I'm the real Doug Behringer. I'm an attorney and the victim of identity theft. Protect yourself. It can happen to anyone.
Some things just naturally go together. Other things don't mix. Please, don't drink and drive.
My joints ached and I was always tired.
I was always cold, I couldn't concentrate, and my body hurt all over.
My doctor told me I had lupus. Women of childbearing age, and especially African American women, are at higher risk.
If you suspect that you have lupus, you should contact your doctor.
You're invited to attend the local lupus support group meetings on the second Thursday of each month at 1 o'clock at Lima Towers. For further information, go to connectedhands.org.
If you have the chance, will you help save the life of one of our nation's veterans? Someone you know? I'm Deborah Norville. If you're the mother, sister, spouse, or friend of a veteran who seems angry, sad, or isolated, you may be seeing warning signs of depression or suicide. Some of these warning signs can be that the veteran seems disconnected from family or friends, starts to give away prized possessions, displays anger or rage, or overreacts to problems. The VA is reaching out to help, so please reach back. If your loved one is a veteran, and if you even think you see these warning signs, call 1-800-273-TALK and press 1. That's 1-800-273-TALK and press 1. Don't second guess yourself. Reach out for help.
We're back on Community Focus, and Jed Metzger is here today.
Good morning.
Good morning. He is the director of the Chamber of Commerce, and you've got a busy winter coming up. You've got all kinds of meetings for business executives.
Oh, we do. We have our Connection event, which is primarily geared to the top CEOs and upper management. And what we're doing with that is February the 27th, and we're working with the Mental Health Board. We worked with them with economic development in developing what is called the second chance drug testing policy. But out of that came a new opportunity to really focus on helping companies write an effective policy to give people a second chance. And so we'll be highlighting that and how other companies can do those type of policies. And we're a model right now for the state. They're studying us to see how this pilot program works, and if it works, then hopefully there'll be some other dollars coming to help other companies do the same thing.
Well, you've been doing it for a few months now with some pilot companies. Is it working?
It is working. You know, it's rewarding to me to hear the companies say, man, you know, this is really helps us to really have a solid policy, but it's flexible enough, but it also covers all the legal ramifications of doing this or that with any type of alcohol drug testing or process that you have as a company, any type of second chance that you give the employees. So yeah, it's I've heard at least from 3 companies that really has been pretty excited about it.
So this is the 27th?
27th at Shawnee Country Club
And
at 11:31.
Who can be signing up for it?
Usually we target chamber members and upper management and then you know vice presidents and presidents, CEO of the companies, but usually they're a chamber member.
Okay, and they just call you or go online to register?
They can call us or go online, either or.
Okay.
And if somebody's really pressing, wants to come, just to tell them to call me.
Okay. Well, and it's a good introduction to the chamber. If you're not a chamber member
That's
now,
correct.
you can see all the benefits you get from it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You've got Congressman Jordan coming in, coming right up, too.
Yeah, the 17th of February. The congressman's going to go to Medico Corporation. He hasn't been there for a while. And we have limited numbers, about 40 spaces available. I think we have 30-some already filled up, and I haven't been in today to see the actual numbers. But yeah, it's really nice that we can have the congressman come in to understand what he's working on, what Congress is working on, and just sort of have some really candid dialogue between business and congressmen of things that are impacting us. We let the congressman talk about what he's doing, and we talk about what we need as companies. So that's coming up on the 17th.
And again, chamber members are targeted, but anybody can sign up?
Yeah, has traditionally been open, those events to the public, but again, it's limited space, so
call now.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, and it's not just the federal legislators that you're dealing with, but also the state legislators too.
You know, we did such a good job of say the state, this whole community.
And that was an entire year ago.
It was an entire year ago, and since then we've had 7 other mini State of the State events, and even Medina had called me the other day, how did you do this thing? Lima, Ohio. So we sent them a bunch of information, but the governor really insisted that he wanted to have an opportunity for at least 4 to 5 cabinet level directors to come to our community to talk about what they're doing and working on this year, in particular at the state. And so we have combined with Rotary on March the 3rd, and we're having this event to where the cabinet level directors will talk. Again, you know, we're working with Rotary. You can contact the chamber, and we compare our number of people coming, and that there is a capacity, but we usually will expand the room, so we should have enough. Again, there might be a charge. Rotary, we're working on that because they have lunch, so it's whatever the luncheon charge is probably going to be passed on. So it's not that much, but I tell you, you know, having those cabinet level people come to our community, I think represents. I mean, our community is represented well. People the governor wants to know what's going on here, plus he wants to share some of the things that the strategy they're working on this year.
You know, that's one of the great things about the Chamber of Commerce. We talk about what great opportunities for networking, but I think we tend to think locally, like, you know, getting together with your peers, but you're bringing in people from the federal and state level that we don't normally get to talk to.
Oh, that's true, and I think you'll see that we'll coordinate with some other government entities as well as not-for-profit entities, and we're going to have in the near future some very high-profile people from the federal level coming in. And again, they're really looking at our community and seeing how we do things in this community. So stay tuned. We'll let you know.
We'll have you back in another month, and in the meantime, all the information is available on your website.
That is correct. It's just Lima Chamber, www.limachamber.com.
Okay.
And you can go and get all the information and sign up, and we'd love to have you there.
Great. We appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome. Jed Metzger from the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to get some details about Lima's 2014 budget right after this on GTV2.
We're not doing well, Allen County.
Almost 70% of our adults are overweight.
And close to 40% of our children.
We eat the wrong foods.
We smoke too much.
We don't exercise nearly enough.
We can do better.
We can do better.
We can do better.
Activate Allen County is working with schools, churches, businesses, and local government to influence policies that will help us all do better.
We can do better. For me.
For me. For all of us.
Join the effort to help Allen County do better by going to activateallencounty.com. Paid for with funding through a grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Help keep the youth of Lima safe by donating to Lima Safety City today. Hello, I'm Chuck Eichelberger from the Lima Noon Optimist Club. Safety City is a very important part of the Lima community. The Optimist Club is renovating Safety City and it needs your help. Donations can be made by going to the website limasafetycity.org. You can also send a donation to Lima Noon Optimist Club, P.O. Box 428, Lima, Ohio 45802. Help keep the youth of Lima safe by donating to Safety City today.
Reduce, recycle, reuse. Allied Waste Services in the City of Lima encourage you to live green by recycling all that you can. Recycling promotes green living by reducing the amount of waste materials buried in landfills. This saves money, natural resources, and energy. Keep our environment healthy and start recycling today. Allied Waste Services is committed to a clean environment. Contact us today for your recycling needs. Visit our website, republicservicesohio.com, to learn more about recycling today.
Crime Stoppers is still active in the Allen, Putnam, and Van Wert counties. Our goal is to assist area law enforcement officers to identify and locate individuals who have committed crimes. If you have any information about anyone who is responsible for committing crimes, please call Crime Stoppers at area code 419-229-STOP.
Crime Stoppers! Crime Stoppers! Make the call and pay! Crime Stoppers!
We're back on Community Focus. I'm Ann Decker, and Steve Cleaves is in the studio with us today. He is Lima's Finance Director, and City Council has just approved the 2014 budget. And Steve, you're here to fill us in. What does the budget include this year?
Well, our budget this year is at just over $28 million. That excludes some additional capital spending that we will be doing in the middle of the year once we're sure that our revenues are coming in as we have forecast in the budget. So that $28 million that we have in the budget so far will be increased probably by $1 million or more for capital spending. We're able to do that because of funds we have saved in the general fund over the past several years in the labor section. We have not replaced attrition with full-time employees in many cases. We have went to part-time employees, which has saved us quite a bit of money. However, in 2014, we are hiring several people in the safety services areas. We'll be hiring a half a dozen or more, adding a half a dozen or more slots in the police department, and we'll be adding 4 or more slots in the fire department. Those are additional costs. Those individuals had been in the budget in prior year. We had deferred hires to make sure we had the funds to be able to afford to keep those employees on a long-term basis. So we are moving forward now with those hires.
Other than the new police officers and firefighters, are there any other major changes in the budget?
The budget is basically as it has been. There's been cuts in our federal block grant program, which has caused the general fund to carry some additional costs, some additional personnel in the law department and in the department that manages those funds also. So the general fund is being called upon to carry a much heavier load than in the past. And the state continues to hammer local governments by reducing their income. Our estate tax is going away. That's another about $750,000 a year lost to the general fund. In total, over the past several years, changes at the state level have taken over $2 million a year out of our general fund. That's how the state has balanced their budget. They haven't reduced any spending at the state level. They've basically taken revenues from the local governments.
Well, the city has been tightening its belt for what, 7 or 8 years, just trying to cope with the recession, the loss of the state funds. Are we to the point where we can loosen the belt up and start adding services again?
Well, services actually have been added without spending increases. You know, I'll use the fire department as an example. You know, they are running transportation services to the hospitals in 2 new vehicles which we purchased recently, and that's an additional service without additional manpower. Even and the fire department's call load is, as far as the timing, the time it takes them to get to a fire has been maintained. In the police department, they've used the pinpoint method of addressing crime, and that has been successful. The crime rates are down. Our streets are in really good shape. You can see we have the equipment to clear the streets even in this winter of almost record snowfall. So the services have been maintained and in many cases increased in spite of the spending cuts.
Do you see the budget improving at all in the future?
Well, we're going to be challenged. These state cuts are really going to be hard to maintain. We're counting on the economy coming back. We saw some signs of that last year early, but the economy slowed down later in the year. So we will have to continue to watch things very carefully. Our biggest challenge is labor inflation. We incur about $600,000 each year in additional labor cost. And to be able to sustain that, the economy is going to have to pick up. But if it doesn't pick up, we will do what we've done in the past, and that is we will defer hiring for attrition. And by doing that, I have a chart that shows that we've underrun since the recession has started by about 5% in our general fund every year, and that's due to the use of this temporary labor being used for to replace attrition wherever we can. We have several part-time jobs where a part-time employee can fulfill that job. In some cases, we're using temporary help on a permanent basis in a few jobs, and that has saved us. That is saving us well over $1 million a year.
Well, in fact, when you walk into the municipal center now, you're greeted by a volunteer behind the front desk instead of, somebody who's being paid for it.
Yes, those individuals are unpaid. They are volunteers, and that's really an unusual situation where you have citizens who are willing to do that, and it's greatly appreciated.
So the budget has been approved. How do you maintain that over the course of the year? Do you have regular meetings to watch it and adjust it?
We will be. I follow the budget every month, and quarterly. I consider making a formal report on the budget. Sometimes I'll wait an extra month. There's nothing magic about a 3-month report. Sometimes it's better to wait until the 4th month because of things that may be happening. Our first major review is going to be at the time that we go for our capital spending items, because we have to make sure that we can afford those items in the long run, because we will finance the big ticket items, and that involves spending that money over a period of years. So I expect in the May-June time frame there'll be a major budget review on the revenues and expenditures just to see what can we afford on the capital side.
What are you planning to buy?
Well, we are going forward now with funds for a renovation of the building where the police department is, the upper floors. It's an old jail area, and it's needed for a crime lab, and there are new regulations on how long evidence has to be stored and how it has to be stored. You can't dispose of it as easily as you could in the past, so that requires a lot of space. So that space is being renovated for that purpose. There's also a backup data processing server room which is being placed up there, and that project is over $1 million. We're also financing in the fire department a fire truck and an ambulance. It's about $800,000. We had a public works review recently. That department is asking for over $1 million in equipment in addition to what I've already stated. We will not be able to purchase $1 million worth of snowplows and trucks and vehicles. I imagine we will proceed with about half of that. The fire department has additional needs. In the police department, we're trying to purchase about 4 new cars each year to have a schedule of replacement of about every 5 years for those vehicles. They have a total of 16, 17, 18 vehicles, depending on their manpower. So, you know, we need to get 4 or 5 cars a year on a rolling basis. So there are a lot of requirements, a lot of expenses, and the key is going to be, can we control our labor cost and continue to use our labor more efficiently going forward. If we can do that, we'll be in good shape. If we don't, we won't be in good shape.
You've done a good job of it so far. We look forward to having you back in a few months for another review, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Steve Cleaves, Lima's Finance Director. I'm Ann Decker, and this is Community Focus on GTV2.
Hello, my name is Gary Shealy. I'm the Utilities Director for the City of Lima. Our domain is the Department of Utilities. We manage the water system, the wastewater system, along with the garbage and refuse contract for the city residences. The water system basically is a state-of-the-art operation. It consists of up-ground reservoirs along with a water treatment plant that can treat up to 30 million gallons of water a day. We have approximately 25,000 customers in our base, and we provide water services to the greater portion of Allen County, not just the City of Lima. The wastewater system is an advanced wastewater treatment plant operation. It has close to 350 miles of sewer pipe in it. It collects wastewater from most of the City of Lima, as well as greater portions of Bath Township, as well as Perry Township. The garbage and refuse system, we have a contract with, at this point in time, it's Allied Waste Systems. We do contract that in 5-year increments, and we provide garbage and refuse service to single-family and duplex residential houses. The Utilities Department itself is approximately 100 employees. We have 5 operating divisions, those being the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant, field services, our customer service division, where we basically process and manage the bills and customer service, as well as the administrative division, where we administrate the various contracts and services the city provides, along with a pretreatment program to manage industrial flows.
It is Tuesday, February 11th, and Tuesday morning at this time, we always welcome representatives of the City of Lima. We are certainly pleased to welcome in from the cold Lima Police Chief Kevin Martin. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, Mike. It's good to be here.
Yeah. How about this might have been, now it's 0, so we're no longer below 0. This might have been as many as 20 days below 0 we've had this winter season. That's quite remarkable, isn't it?
I think this has been a good old-fashioned winter, and one we've been overdue for, I guess.
Yeah, no question about it, and certainly, the difficulties of traversing about and dealing with the weather and the mountains of now ice. They aren't even really snow; they're mountains of ice that are all around. Surely haven't made your jobs with law enforcement any easier, have they?
No, it does create some distinct difficulties for law enforcement. Such things as if there's a traffic crash and officers need to be out directing traffic, and I realize that there are a lot of other occupations. My dad laid pipeline for a living for a lot of years, and so there are a lot of occupations out there where people have to be out in this kind of cold weather. But it does create those issues, and the officers have to be able to have extra clothing to put on to stay warm and those types of things. And it does also, it creates additional dangers when they're out directing traffic or if they're taking care of other issues with the possibility of traffic sliding on the ice, and it can be tricky.
What do you say about the dilemma in the city that sidewalks in many instances, and for a lot of good reasons, just simply cannot be cleared or haven't been cleared for a variety of reasons, hence people walking the streets? That's a brewing situation, isn't it?
Yeah, and it does make it dangerous for the pedestrian. I will say that under both city ordinance and state law, pedestrians are allowed to walk in the street when the sidewalks are not passable.
Right.
And if somebody's not got their sidewalk shoveled off, then really the person oftentimes has no other choice, especially with the snow as deep as it is right now. And so the pedestrians are allowed to walk in the street. However, the rules they are expected to follow when walking in the street is they have to walk on the left side of the street facing traffic, and stay as close to the curb as possible.
Okay, so facing traffic. In other words, walk against the grain, so to speak.
Exactly. But with the idea being that not only then are the drivers able to see you, but also you're able to see them. Okay. So if you have to react, it gives you more opportunity to do so. And
the cautionary note certainly to drivers, because you know how it is. You get behind the wheel and what's this bike here in front of me? What's this person that sort of thing. Need to calm down because you, the driver, would be at fault then in those situations, wouldn't you?
Yes, if the pedestrian is in lawful use of the roadway, and the driver loses control or something of that nature, or just gets too close and brushes them, yes, the driver could be cited for that.
That's why we need a meltdown, right?
Yeah, and that I think will solve a lot of the issues, but until then, we do ask people to be cautious, give themselves extra time to get where they're going. At least, depending on how far you got to go, at least an extra 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah. All right, it's been certainly one of those winters to remember, and we just certainly continue to deal with it, along with the city police. New crime statistics are out, and before we delve into those, because we'll take a break here in just a little bit, before we delve into those, just sort of outline what's the time frame and how are they compiled?
Well, the stats that I presented to Lima City Council last night are the UCR Part 1 crime stats for 2013.
Okay.
That consists of homicide, rape, robbery, assaults, burglaries, larcenies, and motor vehicle thefts. In addition to the 2013 numbers, I also was able to show them a comparison to 2012.
Okay.
And if you remember, I presented to council back in November stats going back to 2008 because we had some significant things happen in 2009. And so I also provided a comparison of the end of the year 2013 numbers with the 2008 numbers that I presented to council back in November.
And what's interesting about the numbers, and again, before we actually look at the specific numbers here in just a little bit, are you guys legally obligated to track that, or you just do it because it gives you like a visible footprint of where you are?
We are expected or required to submit these numbers, to track them and submit them to the FBI Uniform Crime Reporting Office. And we present them on in a monthly report and then a cumulative year-end report. I will tell you we're a little bit behind in terms of the timeline of getting them accomplished now because we're actually working one records clerk short at the police department. We're working with 2 instead of 3. And there's an increasing demand on public records requests. And so the employees are being asked to do more with less, which they're doing, but what has to give then is the amount of time that it takes them to get it done in. So that's why we're really a few weeks later with these than what we normally would have been.
And requests like what, attorneys and other citizenry looking for legitimate information, right?
Oh, yes. It's attorneys, insurance companies. We do have some insurance companies that just make regular requests for accident reports so they can check up on their drivers. Also, we have them that we have attorneys that make requests for random accident reports just so they can see if it's somebody that they would like to take on as a client and represent. But each time we get those requests, by law, we have to fill them, and that takes time.
Are there some fees involved when you make a request and expect a service from law enforcement?
There is a fee schedule if somebody gets hard copies, but that doesn't start until they've gotten at least 10 pages. And also those costs are the only thing under the law that we're allowed to recoup are the actual cost of materials. We cannot recover the personnel time that's involved. Also, if somebody wants something such as a CD, copy of the report, something of that nature, where we actually have to provide some type of medium other than paper, there is a cost to that, although if somebody wants a CD copy of a report, and if they bring in their own CD, then we will use that one, and it does not cost them.
Lima Police Chief Kevin Martin is our in-studio guest with the crime statistics from 2013. We'll take a look at some of the hard numbers and your calls at 224-1150. Coming up, it's 8:14. It's 8:18, News Talk 1150 WIMA. On this very cold Tuesday morning in February, we are in studio this morning with the Police Chief of the City of Lima. Kevin Martin is with us, all bundled up today, looking to stay warm. Kevin, reflecting now, you talked about it last night at Lima City Council, some of the 2013 numbers, crime statistics for the city. As a general trend, crime continues to be down generally?
Yes, the overall UCR1 offenses were actually down 9.6%, so nearly 10% from 2012, which again was just continuing that trend that we've had since 2008, where actually since 2008 the UCR Part 1 crimes have gone down a total of 27.8%, so nearly 28%.
And certainly you would love to attribute some of that to your efforts like pinpoint policing and some of that, and sometimes maybe just darn luck, but also certainly some people having epiphanies of good sense to behave, or all of the above, right?
Yeah, and I have to say I think that there's a variety of reasons behind this reduction. Part of it certainly is the outstanding efforts of the men and women of the Lima Police Department every day, getting out there, responding to the calls, being vigilant, working the pinpoint areas, trying to focus on those high crime areas and the quality of life issues that are so upsetting to the residents that are in these high crime areas. And I think that certainly has had an impact. Another big factor, I believe, has been the increased cooperation amongst law enforcement throughout all of Allen County, which, again, that began really in 2009 with Sheriff Krish taking office. And it started with bringing the crime task force together, all under one roof, combining the task force and the PACE unit. But it's gone on from there, and we've had other efforts, the State Patrol's efforts with the Operation Shield details that have happened in the last few years, and their efforts, to create greater cooperation and working together amongst the various law enforcement agencies.
And you mentioned the greater cooperation, and a big part of that, I have to believe, certainly the reduced resources or the always challenging effort to secure sufficient funding for the various agencies, but a lot of times you can spin some positives out of negatives, right?
Oh, absolutely. And again, if nothing else, the economic downturn has helped us to, or maybe I should say forced us, to look for better ways to cooperate and to share resources. Because even before, during better economic times, one law enforcement agency really could not bring all the resources to the table needed to deal with the problems that we had. But as the budgets have shrunk, that's become even more and more difficult to be able to do by ourselves. So we've had to reach out to other agencies and allow other agencies to reach out to us.
I like that, and of course the agencies can't operate onto islands of themselves. Just because we cross into a different municipality or something, there it doesn't end communication, it doesn't end cooperation, and that's obviously a real plus throw some of the key numbers at us that are particularly noteworthy of the downhill slide on some crime.
Well, again, every category or classification within the UCR Part 1 offenses was down for 2013, except for the offense of motor vehicle theft.
Define that acronym you just used, ECR.
UCR, that's Uniform Crime Reporting.
All righty.
And that is in the FBI that tracks these statistics nationwide. And I will mention that there's been controversy lately as to, one website put Lima as being the 52nd most dangerous city in the country. Well, and actually, I've gone through and looked at a number of those cities that were listed on there that are said to be less dangerous.
Right.
And even the city of Chicago, for instance, with I believe over 400 homicides last year, did not make the list as one of the top 100 most dangerous cities, but Lima did. So,
but the key there is the percentage relative to population. Chicago has 3 million people.
Well, I also think a lot of it has to do as well with whether or not, and I'm not saying any other agency is not reporting theirs accurately. I don't know.
Right.
But I guess the point I want to make is we are very careful to make sure that we report crimes accurately as the Uniform Crime Report defines them in the various categories. So I will say I know that our numbers are accurate.
Right.
And again, that's where, though, not being able to say that the other communities are reporting those numbers as accurately is why you really cannot make an apples-to-apples comparison.
And your point, and I'll say this because you probably can or won't, simply is it can be frustrating based on your day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month ongoing efforts to maybe have the statistic that you have compiled indicating a downhill trend for crime potentially be used against you and knocked over your head, right?
Well, it is frustrating, but that's where, again, our focus is on what is Lima doing, and where are we at compared to where we were at, and even, again, looking at these numbers, which are all very positive, seeing even one area that's up, we have started reviewing those reports and trying to determine, are there patterns, are there specific times of day, specific days of the week, specific areas, specific types of vehicles that are being targeted, and we're trying to focus on those issues to determine, are there things that we can be doing, either in terms of where we're applying our resources, public education, or whatever the case may be, to help get those numbers going in the right direction as well.
And that area, again, that you have noticed a little bit of a spike is what, in vehicle theft?
Motor vehicle theft, which I will also tell you goes against the common school of thought, which is that motor vehicle thefts should be going down because the anti-theft types of devices that are being applied by the manufacturers to new vehicles are improving, making it more and more difficult for somebody to steal a car. But yet at the same time, we saw an increase. So, again, the question has to be, why is that?
You think, well, and I'm going to throw out a possibility, in short of any calls here this morning for the final 5 minutes at 224-1150, is the fact that we're like a small, big town. A lot of people live like they're in a smaller town where they're a little bit lax occasionally. Well, the keys are still in the car when I go in the house or when I walk in some location, where they make it easy for vehicles to be stolen, because we're not suggesting Lima has like working, viable chop shops that stolen cars are some kind of a huge industry in this city. That surely isn't the case, is it?
No, not at all. And I should probably mention that when I'm talking about that increase, I'm talking about we had 80 incidents of motor vehicle theft in 2012, 95 in 2013. So I'm not talking hundreds. I'm talking an increase of 15 actual offenses. But even with that, it's not a matter of the chop shop operations occurring here or that. But it is a matter. A lot of it may very well be that people need to remember that if you want to warm your car up when you're not in there, have an automatic starter installed, because again they have a mechanism. If somebody tries to put it in gear, it shuts itself off. Again, don't leave it run when it's not attended.
Have it remain in visible sight at all, that kind of thing.
Yes. Each night when you get out of your car, lock the doors. Don't leave the doors unlocked, because again, that's just one less step that a criminal would have to go through to be able to get in and hotwire the car and take off with it.
You're right. 95 is way too many, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, again, it's one of those things that might sound cliche, but I really believe one is one too many.
Yeah.
But so, again, will we ever see a day when we have zero within my career? Right. I'm not going to promise that, but we want to do everything we can to reduce the number of victims as much as possible.
Does that differ? I mean, you can find out. I'm not sure if that differentiates if it's a car or a truck or an SUV, that kind of thing. Probably doesn't.
Well, actually, we do have those numbers broken down. That's one of the things that we're looking for as far as, again, the types of vehicles, as well as the time of day, the day of the week. Are there specific neighborhoods within the city where these are occurring, and different things of that nature. So if we can compile information that maybe, if nothing else, we can use as a public education campaign, as well as targeting our resources better.
So that's one area of genuine concern, as you say. In some of the other major designations of crime, though, a definite downhill. Huh?
Oh, yes, and I should mention burglary, for instance. About midway last year, in looking at the numbers, we noticed that we were seeing an increase in burglaries from the previous years.
Okay.
So we had our pinpoint officers and our supervisors begin looking at ways that they could target the areas. Again, looking at the reports, where were the most of these offenses occurring, what types of things were being stolen, and things of that nature. And both through some public education as well as through increased enforcement in these areas where the burglaries were occurring, we took that from what was looking to be an increase for the year to a 5.8% reduction for the year.
That's good news, certainly. And burglaries, of course, a big part of that is getting to the heart of the motivations. Obviously, drug habits, things of that nature are strong behind that. Unemployment, all kinds of economic stress. So the burglaries generally have inched down a bit, huh?
Yes. Again, we were looking at halfway through the year last year that we would probably see an increase. But again, brought that down enough that it actually was then a significant decrease for the year.
What are considered like violent crimes? Obviously, murder, rape, that kind of thing.
Yes, the violent crimes are murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assaults. It does not include simple assaults, like if two guys get into a fight in a bar and one guy punches the other one in the nose.
Right.
That would not be classified in that violent assault. Or as an aggravated assault, but if it's something where there is significant serious injury, then that would also be included in there.
And that, almost like an attack on somebody or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And even those categories, a slight downward trend.
Yeah, actually, again, that was more than slight. Just looking at the violent offenses alone, we had a 21.5% reduction in 13 versus 12.
Okay. Well, a lot of good news, certainly in the ongoing. For lack of a better word, battle, I guess is the word, but you don't want to make it a battle. You want to make it both a proactive effort and a public relations campaign to lower crime for the better of one and all, and not the least of which the city of Lima, right, Chief?
Oh, absolutely. And if I may add one more thing as to what I really believe is helping to bring this trend in the right direction, the way that it has been the community's involvement as well, and. Then, anything we can do to encourage the community. If you see something that you think is suspicious, call us. We'd much rather come out and it turn out to be nothing than to not come out until afterwards when there's been a crime that's occurred and we come out to take the report.
Police Chief Kevin Martin, we appreciate your efforts and we thank you for your time this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mike.
We're not doing well, Allen County.
Almost 70% of our adults are overweight.
And close to 40% of our children.
We eat the wrong foods.
We smoke too much.
We don't exercise nearly enough.
We can do better.
We can do better.
We can do better.
Activate Allen County is working with schools, churches, businesses, and local government to influence policies that will help us all do better.
We can do better for me.
For me. For all of us.
Join the effort to help Allen County do better by going to activateallencounty.com. Paid for with funding through a grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.